right. Hey, welcome everybody. How is everybody doing tonight? It is Wednesday at 7 o'clock. It's Sci-Fi Distilled. So welcome back, Mary
Yes.
Beth, of course, as always.
How goes it?
Tonight we are doing kind of not really an oddball, but something we talked about doing quite often.
Yeah, we talked
From
about it for a while.
1996, is it? Yeah,
25
turn my
minutes.
on air light on air. There we are.
Here, I'm going to turn us on Facebook. We may hear ourselves for a moment, but
Oh, that's okay. We got 5 people already watching us, so that's always good. So, hello,
hello,
Doc.
everyone.
Hello, Jeff Martin. Hello, everybody. How are you? So, I'm sure you have news.
I have news.
Let's hear the news.
Let's do some news. Scroll up to the news. I have big Star Wars news, so I'm going to save that for last. NASA has announced the Artemis 2 team that will be going to the moon. Just to be clear, they're just orbiting the moon. They're not actually landing on the moon. The 4 astronauts are Christina Cook, who is a mission specialist. Jeremy Hansen, mission specialist. He's from the Canadian Space Agency. He is from London, Ontario. Victor Glover is the pilot. He is the first African American to go around the moon. And Reed Weissman is mission commander. This 10-day mission is expected to launch in November of 2024. The first trailer for the MCU's The Marvels has been released to people going, like, no fanfare, no hurrah, no nothing. I don't know. You guys tell me, are you looking forward to this, or are you just like, I'm over it? Happy Frontier Day tomorrow, I think. Frontier Day is the 250th anniversary of Starfleet. I don't know where it falls on the calendar exactly. Like, I know where First Contact Day is, and I know where Star Trek Day is, but I think tomorrow's Happy Frontier Day.
I think this is CBS making up a holiday, so
I think this is CBS making up a holiday.
They can capitalize it down the road that every April 13th or whatever it is, it's going to be Frontier Day now. Something they can promote and sell a T-shirt.
Sure, why not?
Sure.
Stay off. If you guys, we've been warned. Everyone has warned. Terry Matalis has warned us. Dave Blass have warned us. Everyone has warned us. Stay off social media if you don't want to be spoiled. They are releasing episodes 9 and 10 at IMAXs around the country. Those tickets went on sale today, and excited Star Trek fans crashed that website. So I was on Twitter, and there's Terry Matalis like, hey, guys, I think you crashed the website. Dave Blass is like, we're working on it. We're going to fix it. So that was funny. So good for you, Star Trek fans. Last week on this program, in this segment, Rizzo and I were lamenting that no animated shows, like no cartoons, have made the jump to good live action. But I think I may have found the exception. Last weekend was Star Wars Celebration in London, and here's everything we know coming out of that. Most of it is not new news. Most of it we already knew. So I'm not sure what Star Wars is doing. But anyway, Bad Batch. They're going to get a 3rd and final season. I am heartbroken. I love that show. I really enjoy that show. I don't know why. Tales of the Jedi, the animated anthology. It will get a 2nd season. Star Wars Visions will get a volume 2. Andor, which we already knew was going to get a 2nd season. They announced it's getting a 2nd season. Andor's adult Star Wars. They've announced 3
grown-ups. Adult sounds pornographic.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. It's Star Wars for grown-ups. There's no Ewoks, no Jar Jar, none of that crap. They've announced 3 new movies. One directed by Dave Filoni, which is going to be some kind of Mandalorian movie. One directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, which is going to be the new Jedi Order, and I'll talk about that in a second. And one directed by James Mangold, which is going to be called The Dawn of the Jedi. Dawn of the Jedi is going to be a deep past how the Jedi started movie. New Jedi Order is going to feature Daisy Ridley back as Rey, and it's going to be how she starts a new Jedi school or a new Jedi Order or something after the events of Rise of Skywalker. They're still teasing live-action Lando Calrissian, but they never actually do anything about it. New video game, Yippee Skippy. New comic book, Yippee Skippy. They're still pushing The Acolyte, which I feel like I've been talking about The Acolyte on this program in this segment for like over a year now. They're calling it Frozen meets Kill Bill. Frozen meets Kill Bill. How does that work?
I don't know.
Do you want to kill a Jedi?
Right? She's singing, folks. We're hitting rock bottom here.
Star Wars Skeleton Crew, that's the one that I called Prodigy. And of course, the big news coming out of Star Wars Celebration was we have a release date and a trailer for Ahsoka, the live action series.
I'm sorry, it looked so good.
It looked so good. Yeah,
I literally thought it out loud when I saw it. I was going, because those of you guys that I don't know, if you haven't watched the animated stuff, you probably wouldn't get as excited, because they're bringing in not only elements from
Rebels,
but they're bringing in elements from Rebels, which was another one which was great because we're getting to see Hera. We're getting to see Hera. So Chopper in there.
Hera, Chopper, Mon Mothma's in there.
The big one is Mon Mothma that was from. We've
been seeing her. She's been on and off.
Yeah, she was already in.
Sabine Wren is in there.
Sabine was in there.
Ezra supposedly.
I'm sure he'll probably be in there. But the big one was Thrawn. That they're going, which was the bad guy. Well, if you go all the way back to the original Timothy Zahn. From the early 90s.
Well, that's just it, Rizzo. Tell them what she has a very specific line in this trailer. What was it, and why is it a good thing?
What was the line? I'm sorry, you caught me off.
She goes something. The heir to the empire.
Oh, the heir to the empire, right? She says right because that was the name of the books that Timothy Zahn wrote in the 90s. I forgot where you were going at, but yeah, she's saying heir to the empire, which was big. I love the fact that they took somebody. Character from the books, which generally are never canon for anything, and they've made him canon. And if you've read those 3 books, those Heir to the Empire books, they have a lot of the original characters from Star Wars, and it's kind of takes place again several years after Jedi. So, and if you've never read them, they're great books, and I always said that those should have been the next 3 movies.
Yeah, I absolutely
not what they ended up.
I agree. And but you got really excited about that. And
I wonder if they're going to bring in Mara Jade in too, because she was.
That's what I want to know. Are they ever going to bring in Mara
Jade? Again, she's another character from the books.
I would
love to see Mara Jade in there. She was, just for those who again hadn't read the books, her character was, she was kind of another. I think she in the current, she would probably been like another acolyte of the Emperor.
Yeah, she would have been acolyte. She ends up being.
But then she kind of
but she like Luke's counterpart.
Yeah, she was like Luke's counterpart, and then she eventually goes to the.
I believe they were on again, off again. I think.
Yeah, they were kind of there was definitely a thing going on there. Yeah,
but you guys, just so you know,
like Batman and Catwoman.
Yeah. Yes. Very Batman and Catwoman. Just so you know, before I go to my next little news thing here, last news thing here is Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn. Timothy, what's his last name?
Zahn, I think it's Zahn, I believe.
I just bought it. It's on my phone on my Kindle app. I just bought it. It was $4, guys. I mean, just go grab it. If you don't already have it, grab it.
Yeah. I have it on paper, but then also along with this, I would recommend reading. He's written 3 books specifically about Thrawn, and
there's a trilogy, and it's there.
There's a trilogy, and it is kind of how his story. He's such a good character and such a great villain.
Yeah,
because you like and hate him all at the same time.
Yeah.
He's like one of those characters. So
here's the thing. I want to talk about Star Wars. I'm excited for this. I think this is going to be a good thing for Star Wars. There's kind of some rumblings in the Star Wars universe. People do not like the direction this Mandalorian season is going, and they've announced these 3 new movies. And here's the thing: is they had announced that Kevin Feige was going to get a trilogy, and then they announced Rian Johnson, and then they were like Patty Jenkins is going to do Rogue Squadron, and then we didn't hear. And then they said Dan Bianoff and Dave Weiss, who are the 2 Game of Thrones guys, they are going to do something. And it is normal for studios to try to start something up and it not work out. But what is not normal is they never tell you. These guys are announcing things and announcing things and announcing things, and then they don't happen, or they never quite. What is going on with that? That's not. I think it's just normal.
They're trying to get hype.
Maybe they're trying to get hype.
Clicks and social media stuff, and I think that's what it is. And I mean, how long have we been hearing about 6 and 31?
You know what? That is a great point.
Because, and I don't even know what they're going to do now.
Started anyway.
I don't think they're going to be able to afford Michelle Yeoh.
No, they'll never.
I think she's
Section 31 will end up with Worf and Raffi.
You're probably right, and I wouldn't even. Yeah. So anyway, looks some good stuff coming down for Star Wars. I've been way more excited about the stuff that Star Wars has been doing than Star Trek lately.
Yeah, you know what? Me too.
This looks like
I hate to say it, but me too. Although I'm really, really, really enjoying Picard, and I cannot wait to discuss
this season of Picard is by far.
I want to discuss this season of Picard on this show.
We're going to do it we'll cover the first two and then this one as maybe one or two.
We'll just do it all one go, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the first
we're definitely going to critique it down.
Focus on is like the last season.
What's that?
Right? We only really need to focus on the last season.
Right. I mean, but we need to touch on the beginning. I think we need to talk about the first two.
Oh God, no, don't make me go back there.
All right. Anyway, is that all our news then?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. We do have a drink, Sour Monkey. Pretty easy.
Hello, Sour Monkey.
Shoulder whiskey. I assume that's a brand. I'm not really sure. Lemon juice and vanilla sugar syrup. Can't be and an egg white. You can probably skip the egg white.
We can skip the egg white.
But it's only.
And Dr. Alexander agrees. Like, keep Picard season 3 only, please. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it's basically a whiskey sour with some.
Oh, Martin! No spoiling, Martin. I haven't seen today's Mando. Yes, today was a big Mando day, and I can't wait to see the episode.
We don't do spoilers. Seen it. We try to stay away from the spoilers.
Try not to spoil it. And Mando only has.
I don't know what.
How many more episodes does Mando have? 4?
Probably only a couple, because they usually only go like 8 or 9. They don't even go 10, I don't think.
I just want to get through Picard. I hope it's good. I think it'll be. I'm
nervous.
This
season Picard has just been one giant fan service. So
it has a one giant fan service. It's been very good.
The story hasn't been that compelling. It's all.
We'll see.
It's all the niggly stuff that all the little things they've added that make it. So,
April 19th. Oh my God, Mando's wrapping up too. Oh my God, everything I love is ending.
Yeah, so there's only 2 left of Mando.
All right, let's go.
Anyway, 12 Monkeys.
Not the TV show.
Obviously a time travel movie, but not kind of your typical time travel movie. Quick synopsis. There is a plague released. This one clearly has been intentional.
Yes.
The virus mutates and wipes out, would they say, like only 1% of the population, I think he said at one point, survives. And for some reason they have to live underground. Like, I don't know why the virus can't get underground or something, but so the world has been given back to the animals, basically. And we're as humans, the human race is kind of huddling underground, but apparently had enough technology to invent time travel within a man's lifespan from the time of the
pandemic. Yeah, good point. I didn't think about that.
So they don't really touch on the time travel itself. They just, I mean, you only see it once.
It's a bunch of vagary. It's a bunch of steampunk vagary. Is
very
what it
steampunky. It's the future is very steampunky and weird.
It's very steampunky.
And with people wearing too much makeup and it was just bizarre. The whole, and I guess there's a scene where they send Bruce Willis, who's obviously our main character, up to the surface to collect, I guess, samples of something, and he's like in this Dr. No.
He's in a
plastic look like.
Well, first he's in like a body costume.
Like he's like he was in, but that was it's like
type thing.
The plastic suit he was in reminded me of what my grandmother used to have on her furniture.
If you're Italian, you know what we're talking about.
Because they go through this whole thing that, like, if the zipper if the zipper is not zipped or there's a tear in the suit, you will not be allowed back in, and all this stuff. But it's like he's in saran wrap, and I'm like, and there's all this like wreckage and everything, and I'm like, how do you not rip the suit?
But there's a bear. I mean,
there's a bear.
Yeah.
But then the weird thing was the lions wouldn't survive in winter conditions.
There was something in the winter. Yeah, there was some animal that I was like, that animal should not be there.
There was a lion, and I'm like, okay, lions live in very warm climates.
Although, for what it's worth, on Last of Us, they had giraffes, and I was like, giraffes are not native to Utah because they were supposed to be in Salt Lake City.
Well, no, it was escaped from the zoo.
I got that. I understood that, but there's no way it would have survived any length.
I agree. The first winter, it would have wiped them out, I would think. So,
aren't they like Saharan desert, not desert, but Saharan, like sub-Saharan creatures? They wouldn't survive.
Well, they're like Savannah. They're like in the not Savannah, the city in
Savannah,
like Savannah,
the Veldt.
Yeah, the area, like big grassy, open areas.
Moving on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt us.
Anyway, so anyway, they discover they have time travel, so they're sending people back to before, because apparently, according to the scientists, they want to get a clean sample of the virus before it mutates, so that they can bring it, or at least they kind of imply that the scientists would go back and use, I guess, I don't know, and
they would
come up with the cure there and then bring it to the future. So basically, they're not
happy about that.
The thing I'm trying to get to is they're not sending people back to change history, but to get a sample so that they can repopulate the earth and take over and basically cure this disease, so they can move back up to the surface and basically move.
But you don't find that out till the end. Like there's a lot.
Well, no, they kind of. He does say it early on. He's like, when they send Bruce Willis back, and he's trying to. You think he's acting crazy, and he's like, they send me back to I'm just supposed to get a sample. He said I can't. He even said to her, I can't stop it. It's going to happen.
Yeah, he did say that.
He does say that several times. We can't stop it. It's going to happen. So the implication is that either they don't want us to change history, or they know that they just can't because it'll cause the paradox.
Yeah, there's a couple of red herrings in this. The one big obvious red herring is the 12 monkeys themselves, that you think that they are this, I don't know, terrorist organization,
right? And ultimately, they are not. They have nothing to do with it.
They're just an animal rights activists. The other red herring is you are meant to. And Terry Gilliam, I was watching a director's interview. You are meant to wonder: is Bruce crazy, or is he really from the future? But the problem is they never really set it up strongly that way. Like, they gave you enough clues that he was from the future, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of scenes of him in the future.
There's plenty of scenes, and there's
they do, because there's the thing where they screw up. They accidentally
about the kid in the well,
right? Yeah, that. But then the major screw up when they send him back to World War I.
Yeah, they send him back to World War I,
and he's in the photograph.
Yeah,
that she finds. I mean, so clearly either she's crazy.
So as a red herring, it doesn't really work. This movie could have been done and hidden some of that a little bit more until the end, and then you reveal it.
You need like M. Night Shyamalan to do it.
Yeah, I would have liked to.
It needed to be more like The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, maybe.
You didn't even realize that Bruce Willis, if you haven't seen the movie, is dead through the whole movie.
Exactly. It should have been really, like, the whole first third to a half of the movie, we should have been wondering, like, truly wondering.
Yeah, they should have just never shown us the future. And
they should have never shown us the future, yeah.
Because then it's like he's locked, even when he goes back the first time and he's in the asylum and they put him in that, like, solitary, and then he just disappears. And they can't even figure out how he got out. So, like, right there, it's like, okay, clearly there's no way he could get out of that room, and yet he disappeared because they snatched him. Because that's apparently they can just come and grab him back out of time and bring him back.
Yeah. So despite what Terry Gilliam, the director, says, I have to confess this left me wanting as far as, was he crazy or was he time traveling? No, he was time traveling. That part could have been a little.
Yeah, I never even got the impression that. Well, there was some time at one point where Bruce Willis' character was questioning his own sanity.
Yeah, he ends up he gets Dr. Rayleigh to question her sanity. Like, he really.
Well, when he was back, he came back like the second or third time. Yeah. He was like, "You're right, I'm crazy," because he started thinking.
At the end, he's like, "You're right, I am crazy."
Yeah, he started thinking anything he was seeing in the future was his delusion.
Yeah.
So I think that's where they were trying to go with it, but I think maybe initially when they were shooting it, that's what they were thinking. But I think they lost it in the edit process.
You're probably right.
You know what I'm saying? I think they put in too many things that made it obvious that clearly he was time traveling. you know. So why? But I guess they also kind of implied that the act of time travel kind of messes with
Yeah,
the
the first bunch that tried didn't survive. Wait, I might be conflating the TV show because now I'm watching the TV show, but which is actually
I haven't been poisoned.
Except for names and the idea is that they time travel. Other than that, the TV show had nothing to do with the movie. The TV show is quite good. It's enjoyable. I am literally only watching it because it's another Terry Matalas show, and so many people were watching Picard and going, "There's a 12 Monkeys Easter egg in Picard." Like there's a monkey, there's monkey in Picard, and not a monkey, but 12 Monkeys Easter eggs. And of course it's got to cut a lot of the actors. I did all roads for it, and it's a great show. I'm really enjoying it, but it's got nothing to do with this movie. It's completely different, but that's all right.
But anyway, we're talking about this movie. So so then basically, yeah. So then he gets, there's the doctor there. What's her name?
Catherine.
Yeah, Rayleigh. Catherine Rayleigh. She's his doctor. She's his psychiatrist that he runs into the first time he's sent back. And of course, that's where he meets Brad Pitt character, which is Jeffrey Goins, I guess is pronounced. Goins,
yes.
Who this, and I think I've said this before on this show, is again, when this movie came out, Brad Pitt was still an up and coming in Hollywood, so he wasn't paid very much for this film. Because he was still sort of an unknown, kind of not unknown, but he really wasn't, he wasn't Brad Pitt that we all know.
He wasn't Brad Pitt.
But before this movie actually ended up, I think, being released, Legends of the Fall was released, Interview with the Vampire was released, and Seven was released, which were all blockbuster hits. And of course, he was at the center of all of them, so he's skyrocketed. So they got a good deal because if they paid him, he was
actually, they got a good deal on all those actors because all of them, Bruce and Madeline.
Well, Bruce Willis was already a pretty big name by then.
Yeah, but they all took pay cuts on this to work with Terry Gilliam because they all wanted to work with him.
Yeah, that was one thing that Terry told Bruce. One thing he absolutely did not want to do was the Bruce Willis blue-eyed stare.
That's right. He wanted Bruce. So he saw Bruce in Die Hard. There's a scene where Bruce is like pulling glass out of his feet. Yeah. He's been walking barefoot.
Right.
He's talking on the phone to the wife, I think. Terry saw that and cast him just on that alone.
Right. Well, he had already done Moonlighting by that time too, so he was
already done Moonlighting by that.
Moonlighting was what put Bruce Willis on the map, for sure. But this movie, like I said, when I saw this movie again, I was, I was like, oh, he's just Brad Pitt, just another pretty face, blah blah blah. But his character, when he was in the insane asylum, particularly, he did such a convincing job that he was clearly
he really did
insane and. Yeah, I mean, they had to send him to school.
Yes.
Crazy school, I guess.
Yes.
And they all
went to a hospital to talk to doctors. Yeah.
He was going through nicotine withdrawal.
Yep.
That's what
he did a great job.
He did it really well. He apparently did it exactly as the director wanted him to do it.
He did win the Golden Globe for this performance. He was nominated for an Oscar but lost. So, but I think he did.
So I had a lot of respect for him after I saw this film as an actor, that he wasn't just a pretty face. So,
yes.
So good on Brad Pitt. So, the rest of the cast, there's not we have a couple of names.
We have a couple of roads. Yes.
So we can talk about that now, actually. One of the big roads, of course, there's two big roads.
Yes.
Frank Gorshin, who plays another psychiatrist, as we know from Let This Be Our Last Battlefield.
Half and half. Black and white.
Yep. And then also Christopher Plummer.
Who plays Chang.
Playing Chang in Undiscovered Country.
Yes.
Cry havoc, let loose the dogs of war.
He's so great. He's Chang, and then his daughter is I can't say it. Oh, I can't say it because it's a huge spoiler.
What?
It's a joke, but it's a spoiler.
Who Christopher Plummer's daughter is?
Yeah.
I think they all know.
No. Christopher was Chang. His daughter Amanda is now a Chang. It's never mind. It's a Picard joke.
Oh yeah, but yeah, okay. So if you haven't seen Picard season 3 at all, yes, it's a spoiler.
It's a huge spoiler. Never mind. Sorry.
She was just, we all know her from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, and she was also she plays crazy really well.
What?
She plays crazy really well.
Plays crazy well. Yes, she has that. She definitely plays crazy well.
She's done a couple things where she played not all there.
Be cool, honey bunny. That was one of my favorite movies. I could do that line for line. Anyway, so those are our big. Was there any other roads besides those two? Really?
No, just those two. There's a million roads. If you guys want to do 12 Monkeys, the TV show, there's 1 million roads.
We're not doing the TV show. Maybe someday.
But I'm really enjoying the TV show. And
never saw it. But anyway, so yeah, those are our roads. The rest of the cast, there isn't a lot of notables.
Let me see who I got for the cast here.
That are I'm trying to think if there's somebody we missed.
Christopher Maloney, he went on to do like SVU and one of those.
Right, I did recognize him. Right, yeah, he's one of the. He's actually plays. I guess he always plays a cop, a detective.
He plays a cop a lot.
This thing.
Yeah.
So wasn't he in? He was a Mandalorian, wasn't he?
Christopher Maloney.
I want to say he was.
He might have been. I don't know.
I want to say he was. He played a imperial officer. I think it was. No, I'm not thinking. I'm thinking of Welliver, Titus Welliver from like Bosch. That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay. I don't see a Star Wars credit here for him.
No, I was thinking of Titus Welliver. You know who I'm talking. If you saw him, you know him. You've seen Bosch TV show?
No, I haven't seen Bosch.
He's been in a ton of stuff, but you'll know if you see him, you'll know who I'm talking about.
He did NYPD Blue. He did Law and Order Special Victims Unit.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
he's around.
Yeah, he's been in a ton of stuff. Yeah. So anyway, that's really much. I don't really have a lot else for the cast.
Neither do I. No one else really jumped out at me.
Because even Madeline Stowe, I mean, she's unknown, but she hasn't done a ton of stuff.
Yeah, she's another one. Like,
the last thing she did was like 2019.
Yeah, she's pick and chooses her roles quite
pretty much. It's like it's like spotty here and there. So anyway, the overall story is so Bruce Willis, of course, is trying to, and like she said, it's a red herring. He thinks it's this 12 Monkeys terrorist group, but they're all just a bunch of idiot teenagers that are going to free some animals. And what happens is they see these 12 Monkeys things spray painted all over the city, and it says, "We did that." Well, the problem is at the same time that the virus is about to be released, they released all these animals from the zoo. So that was what they were referring to when they say "we did it."
Yeah.
That they released the virus. But Brad Pitt's character, his father is the one that invents the virus.
Yes.
That's where they think the connection is. But it turns out, again, it was just like she said, it's a red herring. It was his assistant who apparently had apocalypse fantasies or something, who was going to. Now, that guy, what was he in? He's so familiar, that guy.
That's David Morse, I think. Yeah, he is super familiar. I was just actually looking at his IMDb. He has been in so many things, but nothing that's really jumping out at me. Passengers, Hurt Locker.
Wasn't in like a TV show, like one of the medical shows, maybe?
Elsewhere, he was Dr. Morrison.
That's where I know him from. St. Elsewhere.
Yeah,
that's where I know him from. So anyway, he's the one that's going to take the virus, and it's interesting because Bruce Willis memorized every single city where the virus initially showed up. He was like, New York, Hong Kong, was like New York, then Shanghai. All these, like, listing off all these different cities. And then there's a scene where they're at the end when they're at the airport and that guy is getting his tickets and the girl at the ticket counter is reading off every single city that so it's kind of interesting. She's like, wow, that's going to be some trip for you. You're going to do this all in 1 week or something. Yeah. And something. And he says, oh, it's
and the really weird thing that like made me go, I don't know about this is he goes ahead and opens the virus like right there. And I'm like, that just killed you too, you idiot. But I guess at that point he was fatalist or nihilistic or fatalistic.
Yeah, that was even because I think even in the 90s, I think TSA would have questioned that a little bit more than the guy was being like a total doofus.
Yeah.
Well, I need you to open that up.
Agreed.
It's like, it just said it's some kind of medical whatever was sample.
Here's the one thing.
Why would you make somebody?
He has it. He gets on the plane. Jones now goes and sits next to him. So now doesn't she have it? She's a survivor. Maybe she's one of the few immune ones.
Maybe that's but if they're immune, why weren't they living on the surface?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, good point. That part, that's the only part
well,
that
did he actually expose the guy? Because he kind of implied like, oh, here, you can sniff it, like, here, do this. And then he goes like, no, it's not necessary. So I don't know, I don't know if they actually exposed anybody at that point. But you're right. He would expose himself.
But given all of Bruce Willis's precautions at the beginning of the movie, I was taking it as an airborne type thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, there's a lot of suspension of disbelief in this film. So I don't necessarily think that he was exposed at that point. But the thing is cracks me up is, today he would have never got on an airplane with these mystery vials.
Yeah.
Paperwork or no paperwork.
It's airborne. See, there's no liquid in the virus.
Yeah, there's nothing. Well, that's the thing. It's the virus. It's just in there. Yeah, it would be. I would think, and maybe Doc Alexander. I would think it would be in some kind of like a gelatin or something. Just as a.
How do you keep a virus alive?
I don't know. How do you keep a virus in a test tube and know it's in there if it's not? You can't see something. I don't. I don't know. That's a good question. Sue's asking if David Morse is Jodie Foster's dad in Contact. Contact is not one of my favorite movies, but you might be right, Sue.
Yeah, he might have been. I could look for you if you want me to.
Yeah, I should be able to look that up easy enough. I know a lot of people like Contact. I just don't like it.
I am. I'm okay with it. This was an interesting shoot, I think. It was a pretty low budget. Well, comparatively low. It was $29 million. They grossed 168. So that is a success. Everything in this movie, everything in this movie was shot on a location, in a place, in a building somewhere. There's nothing on a stage or a sound stage or anything like that. Super interesting. Hi, Kevin Sharp. How are you? And the Shadow's here. Hi, guys.
Yeah, Chris was here early.
Bill's here. Hi, Bill.
His retirement's working out for him.
Christopher's?
So, yeah.
He can join the show on time.
So he doesn't join the show on time, yeah.
Yeah, Doc says put in a culture. And the culture is that jelly.
That's what I'm thinking. That's exactly what I'm
stuff. Yeah.
Anyway, so there was that scene was a little hard for me to swallow.
A little bit weird.
I just don't think even in the 90s the TSA would have let that go through. But we need to ask Chris Russo.
Chris would know.
Chris is one of our old New Voyages friends, and he is a supervisor at LaGuardia, I think, for TSA. So he would know.
Or DHS. This was loose.
Oh, he's TSA. For sure.
Yeah. Oh, it's TSA. This was loosely based on a weird little French film. I'll put the link in the chat for you. A weird little French film called La Jetée or La Jetée. I don't have accent aigu here, so we're gonna have to just pretend. Which I watched for you, gentle viewer, so that you would not have to. It's about 28 minutes long. It's not a movie. It's pictures. Like it's a series of pictures with narration over it. And it's just this weird little story about this guy. It's basically the same premise. Pandemic sends us all underground. Everyone dies. And this guy keeps having this image of seeing a guy die on an airport jetty, where it's an observatory platform where you can watch the planes take off. Back in the 60s, and you could still do that. You can't anymore. But back then you could just go to the airport for fun. So he keeps having this vision of a guy being killed on this platform, and finally in the movie you realize it's him. He's seeing himself. So that's what it has in common with this movie, that Bruce Willis keeps having this recurring vision of seeing someone get shot, but not quite being able to make out who it is or who the woman is that chases. The whole scene is a little bit unsure. They filmed it one time, and it's kind of looking a little bit like Brad Pitt. Like maybe it was Brad Pitt that got shot. But no, it wasn't. He was seeing his own death. And so that's the closed loop. Like that's the, this must always happen kind of aspect to this movie. How do I feel about that particular time travel trope? I think it's been done to death, to be honest with you. I feel like we've
Again,
seen
like a lot of these things, new ideas are hard to come by these days.
Yeah, new ideas are hard to come by, I
Like
guess.
they just keep reheating the old stuff. Because yeah, I mean, I don't know. I never got the impression that it wasn't him because they kept going back to showing the kid. We knew the kid that was seeing was obviously Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
So, and which is why I think he was more suited. He was more successful than the other people they had sent back to try to do the same thing.
Yeah.
He had this connection to the whole story, if you will. So,
maybe. That's a good observation.
you know what I'm saying? Because they said something like you have a very good memory.
Yeah, you have a good memory and you
stuff
a
like
strong
that.
mind.
They said something. So I think that he has, since he had that connection to the timeline, so to speak, already. That's why he was more predisposed to be the one that they would send back, and him being able to be more functional. But they never did explain how Brad Pitt, I guess, went from being completely batshit crazy in 1990 to running his father's lab by 94.
Yeah, I don't think he was batshit. I think he just was mildly annoying, and his dad just committed him because he couldn't be bothered.
He was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think being in that place would make you crazier.
True, and I don't even know. They always portray institutions like that as these horrible, the paint's peeling.
Yeah, it's rundown, dirty, rundown.
And I don't know. I think maybe there probably was a time when they were like that, but I can't even believe even in the 90s.
To me, it'd be like the 40s and 50s, not the 60s.
It was like something like out of the 50s or something.
It was one of these, if you haven't seen the movie, it's just one of these where like all the patients are just in one room watching a TV, and it's all, there's only like 2 or 3 orderlies trying to take care of all of them at once. And
it was kind of very reminiscent of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's
Nest. That's exactly what I was going to say. It was very One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
So, had that feel.
Yeah. By the way, just sidebar, that Netflix a while back did Nurse Ratched.
Oh, how was that?
It was just called Ratched, and it was a really great series. It's all before it's her as a young nurse.
How she turned into this.
And So it's, if you catch it, I think pretty sure it was Netflix.
Interesting.
It was like a year or 2 ago they came out with it. They only did the 1 season. But it was a good series. I recommend watching it, and it's based on the same character from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So, and of course, it takes place at a different institution,
and it would be even earlier than Cuckoo's Nest. So it would maybe.
This takes place in Cuckoo's Nest was 70s. I think this takes place in like the late 50s or early 60s.
Yeah.
So it's clearly she's a very young woman in this show.
Very interesting.
So I recommend that if you haven't seen it. Yeah. What else can we say about this film? I mean,
there's a lot of layers to it. There's nuance to it. There's a lot of we aren't sure, because even Madeline Stowe has a confusing line after she colors her hair. She's like, "Oh, I remember you like this." No, you don't. Like, theoretically, she wouldn't. She goes, "I felt like I knew you before."
Because she
a lot of little things they've thrown in to kind of muddy the waters. But like I said at the beginning of the show, I don't think it quite muddied the waters. It just wasn't.
No, because there was too many, like you said, we said it. There's too much evidence that he clearly was time traveling.
Yeah.
Unless they were both insane.
Yeah. They really could have made this movie a ton more convoluted and make people unsure until either the big reveal, or leave it convoluted right to the end. I mean, but that's kind of what they were trying to do.
I think if we had never seen the future, basically where it opens.
Yeah.
If we had never seen the future and we just first meet Bruce when he's in the, when he gets arrested and he's in the insane asylum, and that's where it kind of starts, and we never see those jumps, or we saw them, but we don't know exactly. But
yeah.
We see less just those blurbs of the future, like those quicker.
And I can't believe, I kind of feel like, am I missing something? Because I can't believe we're not criticizing, but for some reason this fell on both of us the same way. Where this is not a cult classic. This is a classic. This is a highly esteemed time travel movie. People always, when you say, "Hey, name some time travel movies," people are like, "Oh, 12 Monkeys." right away they mention it, and I'm just like,
and time travel really isn't really the focus of it.
but no, I suppose time travel is not the focus of it.
I mean, it's a
This isn't
vehicle
a
for the
steam
story. It's
sci-fi
just a
movie.
vehicle for the story, but to me, it's more about the red herring misdirection, and it's just like Terminator isn't a time travel movie. It is a time travel movie, but
It is, but it's not. Yeah,
but it's not. That's just the vehicle to for the story. You know what I'm saying? It's not like The Time Machine.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's not like The Time Machine where we're talking about time, where we see eras go by.
That's a time travel where the time travel is the focus of the film.
Yeah.
So yes, is it a time travel film? Yes.
Or Looper. Yeah, Looper is a good time travel.
I mean, or The Butterfly Effect, which wasn't very good in my opinion, or those are to me are more hardcore time travel films that they kind of try to wrestle with we always wrestle with the paradox type.
Yeah. That's what the TV show does. The TV show explores like the TV show just like, look, kids, look at the paradoxes we can make, and it just like it gets really convoluted. Like they're traveling all through time. It's crazy. Oh, you know what's like a time travel movie? Not Sliders, Quantum Leap. Both Sliders and Quantum Leap.
Well, Sliders was dimensional.
Yeah, I suppose that was.
That's what they were sliding between dimensionals. Quantum Leap was a time travel, but again, it was the vehicle for the stories.
Yeah.
The focus was him helping.
Yeah, the focus was still the daily life of whoever they landed in. Yeah, that's true.
Oh boy.
But anyway, since we're talking about other time travel movies, kids, we got 2 more weeks left in April. Would you like us to continue with Time Travel Month and look at a couple other time travel movies, or are you going to say, no, we've had enough? Let's move on. Because
12 Monkeys was enough time.
Was 12 Monkeys enough for you?
12 Monkeys enough? Well, we were thinking of maybe doing the different iterations over time of the H.G. Wells the Time Machine.
Classic. Yeah, let's do the Time Machine. Because there's been Rizzo thinks at least 3 movies.
I know there was another one. They must have changed the name because I can't find it as the Time Machine. But it was, I want to say it came out in the 90s. There was a version. Basically, it was the same story though. But I don't think it might not have been called The Time Machine. I'll find. I've been sure if I search enough, I can find it. And then of course there's more current. There's 2 current ones that are within the last 20 years.
Yeah, there's yes. Jeff agrees with you and I. We both said right before the show started, Jeff.
It is still the best one.
It
is still the best one. And I was just looking at it, and it's interesting that the original H.G. Wells book was 1894. He wrote that. I mean, when you think about something that is still relevant today.
Yeah.
It really is amazing. The guy, I think H.G. Wells, which has been done, by the way, that he is a time traveler himself. And that that's come up in a few other shows where the character was H.G. Wells, and it was like,
Jacqueline's Time Cop. I mentioned that one.
Jean-Claude doing the split.
Bill said, Jean-Claude's doing the split. Bill says,
Sarah's in that.
Martin says Time After Time.
I like that.
We need 2 more.
Yeah, Mia Sarah's in Time Cop. She looks great in that film. That was Ferris Bueller's girlfriend.
Looks great in everything she does.
Yeah, Ferris Bueller's girlfriend. Time Tunnel. That was a TV show. God, there's just so many. I mean, you could go on and on about what.
But for sure, I think we will do the Time Machine and just look at all its iterations.
I just want to look at it. We all know. Yes, of course, the original 1960s one was the best. Sure. And you know what? It's funny because we were talking about it. We obviously is that when they do remake it, they hold true to the story pretty closely. They don't really.
Now I have to go back and look. But that is one of the few stories.
I mean, it's all basically the
same. I feel like they treated the whole concept, the newer one, the 2007. What year was it? They did that Eli Morlock thing a little bit differently.
Yeah, we did it a little different. I'll give you that. But I mean, essentially, it's kind of the same story.
Kind of the same story.
Which it should be, I guess.
It's just fairly simple.
It's just interesting how they taken that one story. I mean, how many other books, Time After Time? Yeah, I looked at that one, Chris. Malcolm McDowell. That is a good movie. I haven't seen it in years, decades, but I do remember enjoying that film.
And then we were kicking around ideas like, Hot Tub Time Machine. Bill and Ted.
Yeah, I like the Hot Tub Time Machine. I thought that was a very funny movie.
There's two of those, right?
I never saw the sequel. I only saw the original one, but
Maybe I only
maybe
saw
I did see the sequel. Now that I think about it,
which is the one where they go to the ski place. They're skiing.
that's Hot Tub Time Machine.
Okay, that's the one I saw. Maybe
Yeah.
it's both.
I think. Oh well, that. Oh, you think it might be this? That might be the sequel.
Yeah, now that
That might be the sequel. I have to watch it. It's got one of my favorite. He's the guy that was from The Office.
Rob Corddry.
The guy there.
Craig Robinson.
Yeah, I love him. He's so funny, and he's in those films. So if you've never seen the Hot Tub Time Machine, you want to waste like an hour and a half. Go watch it because it's just stupid and funny.
It's just stupid and fun, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't hold to any real.
We could probably do Hot Tub Time Machine 1 and 2 and kill an hour with that.
Yeah, I would probably do those as a.
All right, kids.
Yeah, you're right, Bill. Good writing always does translate well, and clearly H.G. Wells' stuff is, all the
stuff. I mean, we're still talking about.
I'm surprised they haven't made another They've made a few versions of 20,000 Leagues.
Yeah, they have.
But none of them have been great. I mean, the Disney one, of course, was probably the closest to the original story, maybe, but some of the subsequent ones were not great. So maybe not everything H.G. Wells wrote was translate well. So anyway, what else do we have any more? What else can we say about 12 Monkeys?
Oh, no, I just thought it's a classic. It's a great.
I can't remember if I saw this in the theater or if I rented it after the fact.
I love its Argentine tango.
I want to say I rented it on VHS like after the fact.
Oh, they were going to call it. They ended up going "The Future is History." They were going to call it "The Future is in the Hands of a Man Who Has None," meaning no future. But it sounded like the future is in the hands of a man who has none.
No hands.
They had to change that.
So yeah, Kate and Leopold. That was on a list I had looked at, Doc. I don't know if I've ever seen that one.
The screening for this.
There's also the one with Christopher Reeves there.
Oh yeah.
It's a good film too.
I'll think of it.
Why can't I think of it? It's time.
You think of it. I'm going to this movie. I may have fallen into the category of people when they screened this movie for test audiences. It was a disaster. Like it flopped so hard, and people didn't understand it. People didn't get what was going on. They really did not change a lot. They maybe made a few small changes, but for the most part, they left it as is, and it ended up being a hit. Like I said, it made $168 million on a $28 million budget, which is a success. And it continues to be very popular film to this day. So I don't know what it is that I'm missing about this film.
I remember really liking it when I saw it the first time.
I like it. I do like it. It's just
it's a good film. I don't know if it
enigmatic.
As much. Yeah, I don't know if it quite holds up as well.
It holds up. I mean, the whole pandemic stuff is really interesting.
Pandemic
that holds up.
Hit a little bit too close to home.
Yeah, that hits a little close to home.
By the way, I will say where I work at the hospital this week, we no longer have to wear masks at all.
Oh, it's all fun and games till the COVID comes back.
Yeah, well, I think it was partially a financial decision too.
No, that could be.
They must have been spending.
That could be, but long COVID is no joke.
Yeah, but I guess they're banking on a certain percentage of the population being vaccinated, and I know it was based. We're way off topic here. I apologize, guys, but I know the decision wasn't made lightly. I'm sure, and I'm sure it was based on the number of cases. That it must have dropped below a certain point.
Martin,
anyway, it's just awesome to be able to go to work and not have to wear
before the show.
You can still wear one. Nobody's telling you.
I'm still wearing a mask.
Oh, you can wear one. That's fine. It's just
I'm a masky kind of girl. You guys don't need to see my face anyway. That's all you need to see.
Saying is always it's about time. I'm not familiar with that one. Back to the Future. We did that. We've done Back to the Future, Doc. Cheryl adds Millennium.
Groundhog Day is a time travel.
About Millennium before the show, and she's never seen it.
I'd never seen Millennium.
Maybe that's to make me watch. I don't think the movie's overall that great. I kind of think the idea is interesting. That might be worth I wonder if it would be worth a remake to something more modern. But I like the idea of Millennium. I like the idea of it, but it's 1989, so it's definitely an 80s.
Yeah, it's a little dated now. Yeah,
it's a little dated, but
Christopher, what's World Without End? I don't know that one.
That one's familiar. World Without End. Why does that sound? That does sound familiar too. He's saying it's not. Oh, Martin's saying it's not a well-known.
Martin's saying no. Christopher said World Without. Martin said that Millennium's not really.
Yeah, I know it's not a well.
I missed Millennium.
I'd seen it. I've actually seen it more than once because it was on like something. So yeah, and Chris Christopherson. Don't forget, Martin. It's also it's Cheryl Ladd and Chris Christopherson. So, well, I'm trying. I'm reading.
All right, let's see.
Time travel 60s sitcom used to be a ton of stuff from Gilligan's Island. Yeah, Christopher Jane Seymour. That's the one. Time and Again, I think it's called, or something, or Somewhere in Time.
Maybe it's Somewhere in Time.
Yeah, Somewhere in Time is the one. That's a good film. There's a lot of good ones out there. Yeah. But again, a lot of them.
Roy did do Somewhere in Time because he talked to one of the actresses. He talked.
Right, I do remember that. Roy did that. Yep. Yeah. So you can always refer to that one. Doc saying Millennium's good. It was interesting. It was. I don't know what the budget.
The premise. Rizzo was telling me about the premise right before we came on air tonight, and I like the premise. We'll see what they do with it.
Yeah. So maybe we'll do that as a make me watch. I don't know.
All right. I'll just tease. Phil is off this week, and the students are doing a student takeover at the radio. So no Phil this week. Roy is doing a time traveling movie this week. Roy is doing Austin Powers International Man of Mystery. He was frozen, then he wakes up. So technically, that's time travel.
Thank you, Randy.
Do I make you horny? And he's on this rotating bed on an airplane. What the hell?
You know what's interesting about that film was
I love that movie.
They only really got the second one because of the popularity in the DVD and rentals.
Yeah, I mean, well,
that was the only film. Like, it wasn't really that great. Didn't do that great in the theater, but it did so well in the home theater market. Home video that got the second movie.
Basil and he's run around with two incredibly beautiful women. He's running around with Elizabeth Hurley,
who looks fantastic in that film.
And her mother was played by Mimi Rogers.
Yes.
Mimi Rogers.
And
they both run around in very like black leather a la Diana Rigg.
Yeah, it's a very Avengers Diana Rigg.
Very Avengers Diana Rigg.
Yeah, I mean, we've done the film because, if we go back, we did it. I mean, the film was.
Did we do this? Yeah, we did the film. Yeah.
The film was just based on all the old spy.
Yeah, every single
stuff from the 60s. So whether it was Bond or Our Man Flint or the Dean Martin character, I forget what his name was, but it was all based on those characters and all the cliches that went around with
Martin. Dolphins, no, not dolphins, sharks. I think it was sharks.
Sharks with freaking laser beams on their heads.
And then in the later movies comes Scott, the son, and Frau Farbissina. Or is it in this movie? Is Scott and Frau
Scott's in this one? Winnie Me is introduced in the second one.
And Minnie Me, yeah. Come on, Dad, we'll shoot him. Wait, you're just gonna leave him and assume it all goes to
We'll get a gun. We'll shoot him.
No, come on, we'll shoot him. We'll do it together. It'll be fun.
Put him in an easily escapable situation and hope all goes to plan.
I just hope it all goes to plan.
No, the epic part of that film is when he's at the therapy with Carrie Fisher, and he does that. She asks, "What about you?" And
God. The details of my life
consequential. That whole thing. And he ripped
in the summers we were
most of that.
And we were beaten. My mother was a web-footed prostitute named Chloe.
Yeah. Basically shaved my testicles.
What?
Like Sean Scrotum. Quite breathtaking. It's a great movie.
That whole soliloquy.
There was been talks about that if you watch nothing else, just watch that soliloquy.
Details of my life.
It's inconsequential. I heard they're thinking about bringing it back.
They should. But I hate it. Maybe no, because
on Netflix.
I was okay with 1 and 2, but by the third was that Scottish guy, and I hated that character. No,
Fat
get
Bastard.
in my belly. That
Yeah,
guy.
Fat Bastard. That was the second one. He's in
Was
second
it?
and third. Yeah, but he's definitely in the second one primarily.
Whatever. I hated that character so
Oh, he's
much.
funny. I gotta take a crap. I got a turtle head poking.
No, don't say it, Jesus Christ. That's why I hate that character. I hate
Oh my god, that was the funniest
I
scene.
hate that.
That was the funniest scene.
Oh,
Oh, it's all squidgy.
God. I don't do toilet humor.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing about America. America loves toilet humor, but
Oh
they
yeah,
don't do
toilet
sex
humor
humor.
always gets you a laugh because we're
I
all
favor sex
juvenile.
humor. I hate toilet humor.
Yeah, that was Monty Python, Doc. Wafa thin.
What?
Monty Python meaning of life is what he's referring to.
Oh.
One thin wafer. Wafer, just a. You ever see the guy where the guy overeats and he explodes?
Oh,
Have you
yeah.
ever
that
seen
was
Monty
disgusting.
Python meaning
Yeah.
of life? Very
Yeah.
bizarre movie. Anyway, funny stuff. But yeah, Fenbot. So that's
Oh.
Roy.
See, I see.
And then
Monty
I guess
Python. I
next
don't
week-
remember
I
that,
guess,
but
I
I
don't know.
remember.
What do you want to do? Do we want to
I
do the
remember
time
that.
machine?
Huh, what?
You want to do the H.G. Wells stuff next
Yeah,
week?
let's do the H.G. Wells
Do
stuff.
the H.G. Wells stuff next week.
Who
What
wants
the
to
hell?
do Time Machine with us? Someone come on. We haven't had any guests for like 3-4 weeks now.
Well, we had Dave. 2 weeks. That was 2 weeks ago.
We did? Oh, yeah. We did. All right.
So when Dave talked about what Dave wanted to talk about.
That's why I like Dave.
Dave
That's
just
why
said,
I
"No,
like
this
Dave.
is
Dave's
the
just gonna do it.
direction.
Dave
We're going in my direction." So anyway, it's close enough to 8:00. Obviously, we didn't have a ton to talk about this movie, but I guarantee you next week we will have plenty to talk about.
Time
Because there are
Machine.
many
Bill Simmons.
iterations of the Time Machine, the H.G. Wells version.
We're gonna look at all the versions.
We're
and
going to look at all of
compare
them
and
that we can
contrast.
kind of come out and compare and contrast.
And then we will all come to the same conclusion that we already know.
We
The
already like
first
the
one is
original.
the
It didn't need
best
to be
one.
remade. It really didn't need to be remade.
It need to be remade.
It does stand alone, even in its 1960s version. So, and it still had the coolest time machine.
It does have. Oh yeah, it does have a cool time
Like
machine.
that whole
Share with that
Victorian looking,
Yeah.
the spinny disc thing.
Ah.
So, anyway, on that note, I hope everybody is staying safe. The weather is
Yeah,
getting
we'll take a
great.
mass
I know we're
update,
supposed to hit like high 70s or even 80s.
It was
tomorrow.
glorious here today. It's
It was
supposed to be in the
beautiful today,
80s
a little
tomorrow.
windy, but yeah, I got out, finally got the motorcycle on the road. So
There you go.
hey,
There
so
you
all
go.
right, guys. We'll see you next week. Live long and prosper, and you have a good night. Go watch Mando.